What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for clicking. Today's video, we're going to go over the Coyote Swap fuel system setup that I do not recommend. The only reason I'm still posting this video is because I think there's some things that I did, like cutting access holes and even some of the prepping of the lines and stuff, that's still useful to know. But however, and if you click on this video and you don't see anything else, just know, like, the whole Corvette fuel filter that has a return built into the filter, I do not recommend that. I had nothing but issues. I did get the car up and running with that setup, and I even took it for like 2 drives and it was good. And then as I was doing some stuff with my tune, doing some wide open throttle pulls, it was dying on me at high RPMs. I couldn't figure out what it was. Chased a few things, just had you kind of going crazy. And then, like, my tuner was like, hey, what'd you do for the fuel system? I explained it. He said some of those things can be very inconsistent. So I went back, pulled it out, and went to a full return style system. And honestly, it wasn't much more than this setup. So yeah, if you go to like the Lethal Performance or whatever it is and you buy that full kit, it's expensive. But you can also go there, just buy the fuel hat, get your own pumps, and make your own lines off of Amazon, and it's all PTFE and everything. And that's the way I recommend doing it. I did it that way, and it cost me maybe $200 more for the same setup, and now I have 2 fuel pumps, 2 Air Motor 465s, and I can go to E85 whenever I want. And everything else is like factory. So I have a regulator. I actually have 2 regulators because I was testing some different stuff. And I have a full style return line and a feed that runs all the way to the front, and I have a regular inline fuel filter. So like I said, I'll do a full recap of my correct fuel system right after this video, but I do want to show you this way in case someone wants to go down that way and they want to know how to do it. However, like I said, don't recommend it as the final solution. But yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for joining us, and let's check this out. All right, so I'm gonna now just kind of account for this extra ½ inch. This is my feed line, so I'll be testing that to like the feed port, but really they're side by side, so that distance really won't matter. But so now we'll go underneath and compare. All right, so underneath the car here, this is actually the return port. This is the feed. I'm not sure if I messed that up at a different part of the video, but so return here, feed here. And so now I'm just gonna test that second hose to make sure it goes well to that feed. And so if you're curious how I'm cutting it, I'm just using these little like pipe cutters. I actually bought these when I was working on my water heater, but this works just the same. So this is how I'm cutting it. You just basically squeeze this and this blade gets tighter, and eventually it'll go all the way through. All right, so next step, after you hand tighten those AN fittings in, you actually need to put them in a vise or something to hold them steady, and then you'll tighten them all the way down. So it also helps to have a wrench like this. This is specifically designed for an AN fitting, so you'll see like the socket sizes on there and everything. But anyways, basically you want one of these because the metal's not harsh enough to like scratch up your fitting. Doesn't really matter, especially in this case since it's underneath the car anyways. But you know, if you want to keep it nice, then I definitely recommend getting this, as well as the appropriate jaws for your vise. So you can see I actually have these magnetic jaws, and so they just clip onto my vise with a magnet. But these will also protect the other side of my fitting that I'm holding down in place. So just kind of sit these there, and then you'll kind of seat the base of the fitting you're going to work on in the vise, like so. So kind of like there. Tighten it down, and then you would just use the wrench to finish putting it in. All right, so honestly that worked pretty well. So these are my 2 hoses complete that I'll be running, 1 return, 1 feed. So that wrench and these vice jaws actually work pretty good. So for those interested, I'll link these 2 below, which ones I got from Amazon. Just because the main reason I got them from Amazon is because they're cheaper, but I'm sure you can find the same thing on eBay or anywhere else. So I'll link the ones I found on Amazon, so that way if anyone wants it, they can find it. But yeah, so now we're gonna go put these lines on. All right, so now on the underside, we just need to hook up our feed and our return line. So we'll bring our feed line up. All right, it was a little tough to do that holding the camera, but you get the gist of what I was trying to do. Basically, we're going to put those on and then twist them in place. So now our fittings are actually attached to our fuel filter, and these lines run straight to our fuel hat. So I'm probably going to get those little couplers just to keep these lines together neatly. But honestly, even if I left it like this, it'll be fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish tightening down the fuel tank now. All right, so with that, our fuel system's done. We have our feed and return running from the fuel filter there. That should put out about 58 pounds square inch of pressure or more. And then that goes into the feed to the engine. So we should have all the pressure we need for the Coyote. And we upgraded the pump to an air mode of 340, so we should have enough fuel. Like I mentioned when I showed the pump, it may not work exactly like I hope. And if so, then we'll have to go back in and pull the pump out and do something different. So that's why I cut that access hole, just to make it easier. So let's go into the trunk here. So if I needed to pull this out now, I just have to unplug this and then pull this connector over. So I'll just have to run all these bolts out here, pull this connector over, disconnect it, and disconnect our feed and return lines there. So that makes it a lot easier to remove. I won't have to drop the tank if I ever have to go back in here. And regardless, like I said, I'm throwing boost in here, so I'm gonna have to go back in anyways. All right, so here we are on the top side. Like I mentioned before, since I have this access cut out now, I'll be able to just unbolt these and unplug this connector, as well as disconnect these fittings, and I'll be able to just pull this out. So next time I'm in here, I won't have to drop the tank. So that's way more, it's way quicker and way more efficient. And it saves me from the headache of lowering the tank, getting the filler neck out, and having to put all that stuff back in. So hopefully the setup I have works for NA. But like I said, eventually I'm going to add boost anyway, so I'm going to be back in there anyway. So it just made sense to cut out a little access. And now I just have to make this kind of a cleaner door. But for now, it'll sit something like that. And, with a spare tire or something over it, it's not going to really matter all that much.